All right, I have settled on what I think is going to be my final pedal board. And it is a mess. I know that. I know it's a mess. But you kind of got to do this sometimes before you make final decisions. And I've been thinking about this a long time. You know, we'll see what happens. I just want to do like a walkthrough of how I'm thinking about using it, the signal flow, all of that. Here's my clean tone. First in the bunch is the what is this called? The HX1. Except I'm going to go ahead and put the compressor on. I put this at the front because this is going to be my pitch, my poly capo. There you go. And then I go from the poly capo, the H1, oh my gosh, I want to say H90, the HX1 into my drive section. And first, let me remind myself, I wrote it down. Well, it goes from here to the bloom. That technically has some drive. And it also has this boost. You can stack them. I don't typically like my boost at the front of my drive section. I want my boost after my drive section, but because this is an all-in-one pedal, it's up here near the compressor, and it actually is good to have a boost option there because I do have a boost. I'm using the JHS Prestige, but I'm going out of order. Let's see. I go from here down to the Aspen Overdrive, have it set a little dirty. Going into the Grand Hotel, another kind of dirty pedal. Then I'm lightening up a little bit, going to the Metro Organic Overdrive. Then to the Prestige, which is acting like a boost. Now, I would use this with my Telecaster. I was just playing with my Telecaster. And these amp sims, which are the Tone Shepherd AC30 EQ'd version and the ProSonic EQ'd version. They sound really good. When I grab my Telecaster, putting this on just gives it that much more oomph to kind of match this tone without changing like the characteristic. But it's also a boost on top of all this. So let me just show you some of the drives. This is set really bright and transparent, almost, and it's after these two, so it almost acts like when you stack them, it just gives you a little bit more bite if you want it. Yeah, drives galore. At the end of the chain, well, let's keep going in order. Let's just stay on track. After my drives, I go into number 7. Oh, the tailspin. While I'm mono, capo. Then I leave the tailspin and go to the HX Stomp. I don't have anything in here yet. It's just a blank preset, but I can literally do anything, and it'll probably be more modulation, maybe some always on reverb. I have plenty of reverb and delay options. I really like running delays in the HX Stomp, but I'm also loving this Solus Ventus. So let's go in order. HX Stomp can be whatever we want it to be. Then I go into Solus Ventus, which is like my dual delay. It also does reverbs, but right now I just have it for delay. I love running like an analog and a digital on one side and the other in dual mono. That way they're both like quarter or dotted eighth, but there's two different reverbs coming down each ear, each side, which adds to the depth, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It does some funky things, but I don't need to right now. The H90, I have it set up next in the chain. It can do a lot of things, like whatever you want. Right now I have this like broken cassette. I think on this one I actually have a boost as well. I mean, if you know anything about the H90, it can do whatever, literally whatever. Put that with the tailspin and it's just modulation for days. Out of the H90, I am then going into the two Tonexes. Out of the Tonexes, I'm going into this Boss EQ200. I've had some issues with this. Issues not that the pedal's messed up, but when I cut through different presets, it stops. It like doesn't have spillover between presets, which I don't like, but I do like having it after the Tonexes because I want to just be able to boost the output for a solo or shape the end of the signal after the Tonexes, so I'm not sending more gain to the Tonexes. So it would sound like this. On this little preset, it's just a little bit more top end, so that if I had a lot of effects on and maybe some of this, it kind of just gives me a little bit more. After this, then I have the Revelation, which can be my super ambient always on reverb. And my preset is super long. And that comes after this EQ so that the cut is not so noticeable. I love it. And I just love the Revelation that it has spillover between the presets, so I can swell something really long here. All right, let me hook another guitar up so you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna hook up my Revolta. Now this sounds completely different, but this is one of those things where this is why I wanted to have a lot of options when it comes to drive. Here is what this sounds like. And let me show you what my Telecaster sounds like. The problem is I don't have a strap on this right now, so I'll just sit down. There we go. All right, Telecaster. Did I say Strat? I don't have a Strat. I mean, I got that Strat, but it's not mine. That doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't really have a lot of bite to it. That gives it that boost that I just love. Just really helps the single coils out. space organ. That's fun. I could just play all day, but I'm gonna stop right there. Be on the lookout for the pedal board build. I love it. It's not noisy. It's pretty quiet. No power issues. Chalk's power supply. I didn't even talk about this Morningstar. I love this. I'm gonna be making oodles of MIDI stuff going on. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.